I'm Peter Block for On the Scene here at AHA at the annual meeting in Chicago. With me is Chris Cannon. Chris and I are old friends, and we have talked about whether or not non-statins are as good or better than statins in cholesterol reduction. And now we have a trial. Chris has just actually gone through this trial with the folks here at AHA, the Prove It trial. Chris, tell me about Prove It. Tell me what you think Prove It shows.
Well, this is actually the Improve It trial, but the Prove It trial was high-dose statin versus regular, and that's actually been the question of everything has been with statins, which we know are terrific, but could a non-statin drug be beneficial? And we just haven't known. And so we studied 18,000 post-ACS patients, got everyone in the statin-only arm treated to an LDL of 69 on average, so really intensive therapy for them. And then the other half got ezetimibe added on top, and so they got an LDL down to 54 on average. So thankfully we saw a benefit of that further reduction. It was a significant reduction, 6.4% for the primary endpoint, a p-value of 0.016. All three of our secondary endpoints were beneficial, and then tomorrow Mike Blazing will present an on-treatment analysis where everything gets a little bit better with that. And so very encouraging to see, on the one hand, that using a non-statin seems to give just the same benefit as we would expect as a statin, and then say, could we go even lower?
Yeah. I think, Chris, from my perspective, this also supports the fact that the lower LDL is better for you than a not so low LDL.
Very true, and this trial took a really long time, in part because the control arm had such a low LDL to begin with, and so thankfully for the patients in the trial, they weren't having events, and so it reinforces across, this is a high-risk population, but it reminds us on all the different populations that lowering LDL is very important for preventing cardiovascular events.
So going forward, ezetimibe's been around for a while. A lot of people have taken it. There have been a lot of people that have said, well, so what? We don't really know whether this drug is good or bad. We now have an answer for that, and that's good. Going forward, it is going to be generic in a few years. Your thoughts on that?
Well, as you point out, all the people who have been taking it now know that they have been getting benefit, which is encouraging, I think. And with this medication, we'd put it in the high-risk group, but if available generically, this could be applicable even more widely. So certainly encouraging, and had a very, very good safety profile as well, and so no differences at all when adding it compared to the statin arm. So a nice benefit to risk ratio.
So thanks, Chris. For me, the teaching points here are quite clear. Number one, that lower LDL is better than higher LDL. Number two, that ezetimibe seems relatively safe and certainly no downside to using it. And that the addition of ezetimibe to a statin is a good combination. For me, the differences of 2%, actual numbers, I think it would have been nicer had it been 15%, but it's still statistically significant, and you can't overlook that.
Yeah. And, of the 2% absolute, that's an NNT of 50, which is about right. And fortunately, these are hard events. So it was MI and stroke that were the events that were prevented. And so I think very important things to get added benefit on top of very intensive therapy already. So I think very encouraging. And certainly as new agents are being tested, so the PCSK9 inhibitors do even more LDL lowering, and so it's really good news. We'll see what they do, but it's very encouraging.
So there are the teaching points. Improve It is a positive trial. It's probably the biggest trial here at the American Heart this year at the annual meeting, and thank you very much for sharing that with us, Chris.
Thank you.